You all. I'm the host in Good evening to you all. I'm the host in today's program. I warmly welcome all the presenters and our respected adjutant sir. I hope all the presenters are ready for your presentation. Uh, the presenters are eagerly waiting for your presentations. So I hope you will present your presentations very well. Please cooperate with me for this event. Now this is the time to call the presenters. First, I would like to call Arnavi to talk about the poem.
Good evening to you all. Today I am going to talk about the poem A Bird Came Down the Walk by Emily Dickinson. The Bird Came Down the Walk was written by the most famous American poetess Emily Dickinson, who won many prizes in American literature and so on. Her arts were become very famous after his death, and like many poets in that era. Until this event, she was well known as an amazing gardener who gardens many things and who cultivated many things in her garden. Her works are relevant to the topic of uh, death and the theme of nature, which she inspired the most in her times. And here, The Bird Came Down the Walk is an amazing masterpiece which contrasts the animal world with the human world, which was written in 1891. When we analyze into the poem, we can see that we can understand the poet selection of vocabularies remarks the simple act of the bird as an unremarkable one, and it contains many deeper meaning to the words of the greedy humans as well. Here, not only we can realize that the world of our nations are forgetting to learn from the nature, and as a result, many people are alienating from nature and go far further and further nowadays. But we all know that the every acts of nature has deeper meaning, and it helps us to realize many things in nature and learn. And the best learning is the thing which when we learn from the nature, it's the best learning ever. But humans don't have enough time to realize this. They are running after the money, they are searching for money, and they are living in a greedy world which can't understand the language of nature. But this amazing poem brings out the day-to-day simple and usual act of the little bird as a big message to our greedy and egocentric human minds. And that's why we can tell that the Emily Dickinson has a power to elevate something ordinary into extraordinary, which helps her to understand the hidden purposes of the nature. And we can understand that her isolation from the normal world and the alienation from the normal world helps her to understand and realize more nature and enhance her writing in these themes. As a as a gardener and poet, Emily wrote an amazing description of a bird who came down to the garden to have an amazing sidewalk. There we can understand that the poet is watching a bird as a spy and detailing give the minute information about the birds, each and every activities and the movements in the garden when it comes to as a sidewalk. It brings out the kinesthetic imagery in a very simple and imaginative way. The poem is, we all know that the poem is under the topic of nature in our literature, as it centers around the boons of nature and the distractions it is facing. And here the human comes as a distractor. Here the narrator is the distractor, who distracts the usual activity of the bird in the garden. And it also emphasizes the beauty and the brutality of the nature and the problems which the nature is facing. Here, the first sentence of the first stanza tells us that the bird is not flying; it is coming and walking in the garden. And here we can understand that the image of the bird as a visitor who is visiting the garden or the neighbor house, and we can understand that it doesn't have any fear in the uh, first stanza. But the second line indicates that the narrator is watching it. But she didn't watch it with its knowing as a she's watching as a spy. It creates something curious and something suspense. Why she is watching as a spy? Why she is watching with unknown without knowingly to the bird? Then narrator tells us that the bird is eating the worm to feed, is hungry, and drinking the water to feed ringing the water, but the diction half indicates the bird consume not the full worm but the half part of the worm. It is something different to our human world, and this is highlighted part in this poem. Humans don't feel enough whatever they have, but here the bird consume what it wants, what it needs. It emphasizes the greedy nature of the human and the bird's nature as enough enough like creature. Here here when we look at the when we glance at the human world, they don't have the thinking of enough. They always want to get their needs, and they always want to buy, and they always want to have money. But here the bird is consuming the enough part of the nature, and you know and this is highlighted by the half. That's why birds and other living beings are living happy, whereas the humans are struggling in the jaws of depression and the money-minded corrupted world in the era. When we move to the second stanza, it indicates the bird is quenching its thirst by drinking the dew of the water which is in the blade of the grass. The dew, which was come from the morning mist, indicates the morning time and the calming nature, which adds the strong visual imagery to this poem and adds the beauty to this poem. The dew which was come from the morning mist indicates the morning time when the bird is coming. And moreover, we can understand that how the nature helps the living being to fulfill their basic needs with in a peaceful manner. Without nature, birds and not only birds but also other organisms can't live, and they are soulless. And the next sentences projects that the bird adjusts itself to give the space to the little beetle to go away. And it emphasizes that nature adjusts itself for others and its elements. But human always enter into the when we look at the human world, they always enter into the natural world as a distraction. They always think about themselves, and they always think greedily and self-centric. It indicates that human world as is more selfish, and human don't know about helping others as well. And I think the bird's behavior will open the eyes of humans by and the simple writing of the Emily Dickinson also inspires me. Here, bird doesn't make the barrier to the battle. Through this, we can understand that the extensions and the a mutual understanding of and the love, the strong bond between the innocent animals which are living as a part of the nature. And when we move on to the third stanza, according to the third stanza, we can understand that the bird started to be alert, uh, as it feels some irritation from its surrounding. And then the poet tells that she saw the fear in in the bird's eyes. We can understand that until it feels the pure presence of nature, it enjoys its worlds and enjoy its world and be happy. But when it feels the human distraction around it, it started to fear and it seems as very nervous as well. It's something highlighted here because we all know that the bird is a part of the nature and human also living as a part of the nature. But when the beetle came into the path, it happily give the space to the beetle to pass away. But when it feel the presence of the human around it, it started to awaken, started to aware about that situation because every living beings and nature feels the humans as their distractions because humans are only greedy and they, as I told you earlier, they want their self development, not others. And we all know that nowadays many humans are destroying nature for their personal needs. And here, this hidden theme also highlighted and projected through these lines. Then, when we come to the line of this third stanza, the velvet head of the bird portrays the bird as a luxurious bird, which is very beautiful, and it adds the beautiful and rich image of the bird. Furthermore, the rapid eyes indicates the quick movement of the bird and it's mixed with the kinesthetic imagery, which is only highlighted as the actions. Then the poet tells that he started to offer a crumb. Here, crumb comes as a symbol here. It indicates the human made food, which is the small piece of bread or something made of flour. And even though the narrator likes to feed the bird doesn't accept the offer. It also indicates the big message that we always get what we need. Here, the bird didn't accept the offer as it doesn't want that offer and it quench it's hungry by eating the half worm at the time. And when we analyze it in a critical way, we can understand that human presence always gives the fear to the bird or the other animals in the nature mm, um, because humans minds are uh, always struggling between the world of money and they don't know what to do when they see the money. And this theme also created projected here. Humans are always alienating from the nature and whenever they enters into the nature there's some hidden personal purposes and the bird also feels like that. I think the bird also feels like that by ignoring the crumb of that narrator, uh, it was clearly portrayed. The bird is fully aware of the hunting nature and the hidden intention of the human nature. It shows that until the human return to the world of greediness and selfishness, birds and other animals can't be the friends for the humans. Even though the narrator wants to give the crumb, even though the narrator is don't have any greedy mindset or don't have any hidden purpose by offering the crumb, the nature marginalized all the humans as egocentric. From this stanza, we have to understand that all the human have to return from the greediness and have to live with peace with nature and its elements. Then, when we move on to the last of this stanza, the poet indicates that the bird is making the attempt to fly away from that place as it feels danger and human presence. Here, the humans are projected as a distraction of our mother nature, and they are the major reason. I think they are the major reason for the imbalance of the nature itself. It contrasts the strange relationship of the animals with the humans, and then the birds flying away from the dangerous place is projected through the visual and the kinesthetic imagery, and the latter part of the poem is very rich in visual imagery, as it compared as the birds flying is compared to the butterflies flying and the boats roaring in the sea. This poem proves that Emily Dickinson's skill with making a simple act as a remarkable one, since her arts are related to the theme of death. This poem also has some connections here. The poet friendly offers the crumb, but the bird take it as a danger and fly away, and it indicates that one day we also have the death which knock our doors and take our life. And according to this whole poem, the nature itself uh, draws the image of it as very calm, pure, and sufficient and lovable. And when we analyze the themes of this poem, as I told you earlier, a key theme of this, I mean, the major theme of the Bird Came Down the Walk poem is importance and the power of nature. Here, the speaker, the narrator who is offering the crumb, is fascinated by the bird's behavior and uses the personification throughout the poem to explore the power of nature and what she feels and he described the minute detail of the bird by her seeing and what he feels in her heart with an open mindset. And through the minute detail, Dickens uses the juxtaposition of the bird eating the worm contracted against the bird's world. I mean the animal's world and the human world. And here the speaker approaches to show the delicate balance of nature where one can be both predictor and the prey at the same time. In doing so, Dickinson explores the conditions of the danger and peacefulness that are evoked by the nature. And when we see this poem, we can understand that there are many literary techniques used in this poem to add the value and add this simple act of the poem as an unremarkable one. Um, Here, the uh, bird bird is constructed to the world of humans as it comes as a juxtaposition. This poem was narrated through the third person point of view to show the poet as an observer who is observing the bird with unknowingly, but later the bird feels the presence. Metaphor is presented in this third stanza. Here he's tried his velvet head. It indicates the bird as a rich bird which has a luxurious power, and through this metaphor, the poetess draws this fact. And similarly, also presented in the third stanza, the narrator compares the bird's eyes to the beats. It shows the fear of the bird when it realized the presence of the humans in the location. And alliteration is also used in this poem. It creates the sound that the mimic of the nature and describes the nature as majestic and pure. This is seen following the bird's departure when the speaker compares the flight of the bird to the ocean. In the first line, the letter O is repeated in O's and ocean, and in the second line, the letter S is repeated in the word silver and same. Here, the repetition is used to create the harmony that contrasts with the tense movement and the stanza above. The most remarkable feature of this poem is imagery, its final stanza, in which the Dickinson provides one of the most breathtaking description of flying in all of the poetry, and it is something very literal and full of visual and kinesthetic imagery, which the readers can feel and imagine the real flying of the bird from the location when it feels the human presence. Simply by offering two quick comparisons of light and by using aquatic motion, rowing, swimming, and flying, she evokes the delicacy and fluidity of moving through the air. The image of the butterflies leaping off the banks of the noon and flashlessly swimming through the sky is one of the most memorable in all Dickinson's writing, which adds the smooth flying of the bird from the location. And here, the symbolism, as I told you earlier, the symbolism is also used here to show the a human made food, which indicates the presence of the human. And here, the dream symbolizes the hopes and sadness of the bird. And when we talk about the tone of the poet, we can understand that surely we can say that it is something contained mixed with curious and suspense. When we started to read the poem from the start to the latter part, we can feel the feeling of curiosity mixed with fear, suspense, and meaningful. The climax of of this poem comes when the speaker offers the bird a crumb which is man-made, but it didn't accept that food, but it flies away from her. The protagonist is frightened of the bird and struggles to understand what is the true nature is like, true nature want and true nature likes. The protagonist is a speaker. We can tell that the protagonist is Emily Dickinson, who tries to be friendly with birds and animals. Finally, ends in a negative way. So, I want to conclude that the moral of this poem is feasting on the weaker and frightening from the stronger. Thank you for thank you for hearing.
Thank you, Aranavi, for your wonderful presentation. Next, I would like to call Anne Kansika to talk about the point to the evening star.
Good day to you all. Today I would like to present the poem To the Evening Star by William Blake. Here I have 6 content: summary, writer, meaning, analysis, themes, and techniques. First of all, I would like to talk about the summary. To the Evening Star, Blake maintained his sketches theme of the daily cycle as metaphor to innocence and experience. Specifically, here the speaker calls upon the fair-haired angel of the evening to protect him against the evil of the night, and more importantly, inspire but this whilst the sun rests, all that is oppressed during daytime. The star represents the transcendent moments of struggle between oppositions. And smile on their love. But Venus cries tears of dew as she herself is aware of humankind's fallen state on earth, where sexual creativeness operates in the real dangerous passion symbolized by savage beasts like the wolf and lion. Again, we have a struggle of opposites here. This time, symbolized through predator and prey. That further builds up Blake's theme of cycling and dialectic nature of the universe in which we live. The speaker is young, as Blake himself was at the time, and his frustration between these opposing forces is placed on the table to deal with, like youth and age, tyrant and slave, day and night, male and female, and predatory and prey. Um, Now let's talk about the poet who write this story, Evening Star. William Blake is a poet, painter, engraver, and visionary. William Blake worked to bring about a change both in social and in the minds of men. Blake was born on November 28, 1757. Though in his lifetime his work was largely neglected or dismissed, he is now considered one of the leading lights of the English poetry, and his work only growing popularity. Jet Blake himself believed that his writings were of national importance and that they could be understood by a majority of his peers. Far from being an isolated mystic, Blake lived and worked in the teeming metropolis of London at a time of great social and, in addition, great social and political changes that profoundly influenced in his writing. Mm, in addition to being considered one of the most visionary of English poets and one of the great progenitors of English Romanticism, his visual artwork is highly regarded um, around the work. Now I wanted to talk about the poem, meaning of the poem. Fair-haired angel means the Venus of the evening, while the sun is starting to rest on the mountain. Wrinkle the shining torch of love and wear your radiant crown. And bless our resting bed means earth. Smile on the ones we love. Um, may it be relative or lovers. And while you draw the blue curtain, the blue curtain mean the blue sky. Blue curtain, scatter your silver silver dough, blessing in the form of a liquid in this case. And almost every flower that closes its eyes means the petal of flowers. In order to obtain calm and sleep, command the west wind to calm down and not destroy the floral beauty of the forest. Command silence